We're
Just
back,
get it
y'all.
going, man.
Man, G, along with Alec, another great episode of Section 300. Thank y'all so much for tuning back in. As always, make sure you guys are tapped into LA Sports Report. A lot of great stuff going on across all platforms there. If you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the show. And yeah, a lot of good stuff coming to you each week. We're going all our teams across the city. So as you guys can see, excited to really get back and get going with everything going on right now. We'll start with what you guys just witnessed from the Lakers handling business versus the Wizards, 125-120. A little bit of a closer than we would have liked, but a win nonetheless. So we'll take it. Alec, any first thoughts on the Lakers victory you just witnessed?
Yeah, nice little stat pad session for the Lakers. We got there. LeBron and AD had some pretty big performances once again against, as you mentioned, like an inferior opponent, but you play who's in front of you, so we got the job done. And I believe they're like 8-2 in the last 10 or something like along those lines. So
right.
That following a trend of good basketball that they've been playing. So it's good that regardless, they got the job done. It was a team effort. Like it was a pretty spread scoring performance from the starting five. I think everyone was in double figures. Let's see real quick. Get the box score. Yeah,
everybody
like
the
whole starting five had 16 or more. So
yeah,
it was a group effort in this win. The bench didn't contribute a whole lot, and it's nice to have Gabe Vincent back. I'm hopeful that he can be a major piece in that rotation as well. But great performance from the starting five once again in this game. And yeah, glad we're just on the winning track.
But to that point, something we kind of joked about off air with Matt, who's our Celtics guy, we talked about just about this time of the year being the time you start gearing up for the playoffs and all of that, and how these games, while they might be kind of stat padding for some squads, do actually have a lot of value. Obviously, for us being in the position we are, still trying to cement our playoff spot. But also just in regards to chemistry this time of year, getting everybody in sync and making the next steps to make this playoff push as we desire. And yeah, having our starters now playing well definitely goes a long way, and we'll love to see more contribution from more of our role players as things go along. To that point, we just witnessed another episode of LeBron's Mind the Game podcast come out, and part of the episode he talked about the importance of role players, and there was some joking things to say about that because he started it talking about Miami and how he didn't feel like he had the right pieces early on there. I mean, y'all dominated the first few rounds of the playoffs, but for another day. We'll come back to that. But the important part this time to our Lakers right now, he sees the importance of role players and learned situations like that in the past for how we now make runs right now, and making sure we have the pieces in place to make the jumps that are necessary to be the Western Conference Finals level team that we were last year and beyond. Do you believe we are at that level again this year with our role players? And do you believe those role players we have this year do you believe in them to make the right moves this postseason to get us into a deep run?
It's interesting because I do believe that like some of the role players we brought in, like a Gabe Vincent this past offseason, or like a Vanderbilt that we brought in at the trade deadline last year, I do think they can be, as Bron said, like superstars in their roles. But I wish we have got to see it more this season. It's just they've been plagued by injury throughout the year. So as you mentioned, the importance of ramping up and getting hot at the right time and finding that continuity as you're coming into the postseason. I'm hopeful that like Gabe Vincent can really get his feet wet and get his feet underneath him so that he can be a contributing piece as a role player. And same with Vanderbilt. Like I think we need him to be a superstar in his role as a defender as well. In those 7-game series where you're able to game plan for the same matchup for 4+ games, he's going to be crucial for stopping guys, especially in the half court. So I do think we have guys that are capable. We haven't seen it really this season, so we're kind of just banking on what we've seen them be able to do in the past or on previous teams in Vincent's case. But I do think they have the pieces to do so.
I believe they have the pieces to do so. But also in that, as much as I do believe in them, it's a thing as well where they're not the only ones aware of this. Obviously, the whole league has shifted and are become aware of the necessity of role players. And we see a lot of the top teams aren't necessarily super teams, or even the squad like the Celtics are a super team because they have a lot of players that are superstars in their roles, as he's kind of saying in this quote here. So yeah, a lot of these squads are in right positions to make good runs as well. And to the squad that's been the one that we are keep eyeing in regards to Denver, their role players are clicking right now as we continue to see. So we'll see how our guys match up to them if we do get there at some point during these playoffs. So we'll pay attention to it all, and I do have belief that our guys will step up when called upon. I think the guys that are already in rotation are showing that they are aware of what time of the year it is right now, and are trying their best to make some jumps a little bit. And as you pointed out, we're going to get Jared Vanderbilt back hopefully at some point, and we're going to get Gabe Vincent more ingratiated in this offense as well too, and that will go a long way for us. So great things with that. And then if all else fails, the second option still is there for us too.
I was just about to say,
we'll be okay.
With more Gabe Vincent, Dinwiddie probably falls a little bit farther out of the rotation.
We shall see. But on another topic that was brought up on the Mind the Game podcast was not only talking about our Lakers squad and what's going on with them. He gave a lot of praise to the OKC squad, not only with their top guy and Shea and what he's doing, but in regards to Chet, when they were talking about some players in regards to Chris Bosh and the importance of his role back on the Heat days and how he was able to spread the floor for them, which allowed LeBron and D-Wade to slash as they did and have all the great plays that we saw. And now how we see that in modern day, a guy like Chet, who now spaces the floor for OKC, was a missing piece for them to open up that offense to become the number one team, or the number one, number two team that they are this year, with Shea and Jalen really getting into the paint and slashing and doing all the stuff they want to do as they are because of the space that Chet provides. So with that, it felt like some of it might be a chess move potentially. Do you think the Lakers low-key want OKC in the first round if they can, and that he sees what's going on over there and gives them praise, but wants to get them now before they really get rolling as they get older in the league?
I was gonna say quietly, Josh Giddey been playing decently as well too recently. But yeah, I think I think it's probably a little bit of both, because I think he legitimately does respect what he's been seeing from OKC throughout this season. How could you not really
Right.
They're a really young nucleus that's playing ahead of schedule, and Chet's been a huge part of that, and Jalen Williams has been like a revolution for them as well too. I've seen him. It's probably a little premature, but I've seen people trying to put him in top 20 conversations. Not quite there yet. But
the NBA Twitter is a mess, dog. Every time.
He's been playing some great ball though, and they have as a collective, and so they definitely do deserve their respect. But I do think if you're LeBron or AD, you don't really fear any team beyond Denver, and especially a team that has no real playoff experience beyond Shea, who played with CP3 a little bit in the bubble. But you're not afraid of that matchup. Like you probably have a level of confidence going against an inexperienced team in the first round if that were to happen. But I don't think LeBron's hunting a matchup, or the Lakers are hunting a matchup. I think they probably, the way they're playing, they seem like they're trying to win every game. And so I think they want to get as high as they possibly can, so that they don't have to fight and play 2 games in the play-in to get to the playoffs in the first place. So.
Correct. So, yeah, I agree with all that you said, and we'll see how our guys position themselves to get whatever matchup they can, and just getting these playoffs, as you pointed out, and make whatever need to happen to make the run that we believe is capable. So we'll stay tuned to it all, and that really is it for the moment. In regards to looking forward, we'll go ahead and jump to that now. By this time next week, as you guys just saw, we just handled business versus the Wizards. We then follow that up with games versus the Cavs on Saturday. So we've got a couple of days till that matchup. The Timberwolves on Sunday, and then we'll be back after the Warriors-Lakers game on Tuesday. But also, real quick in that, the bottom of the screen is the rest of the games. Those are the last of the season. So Cavs, Wolves, Warriors, Grizzlies, Pelicans, and that's the end of the regular season. So by the end of the season, Alec, where you think we stand in the Western Conference?
4 tough games out of the 5, just because you got, especially the Warriors, who are fighting right below us, fighting for positioning as well, trying not to get snuck by the Rockets, who have lost a couple, so they might be falling out of that play-in spot. But by the end of that was 5 games. I think they could probably go.
Yeah, 5.
I think it's 3-2, probably in these 5, and so that would put them at 47 and
35.
Yeah, so it's probably in the 7-8 range. I think that would be great. Like if they could get up to 8 and only have to win one game to get into the playoffs.
Right.
Putting less stress on your bodies and everything.
Correct.
So I will say I would kind of have to look at the Kings and Suns schedule too, just with them being tied right above us. But I would say on the optimistic side, I think they can grab that 8 seed. If not, I think they stay where they are. I don't think they fall below the Warriors.
As you see, we're 8-2 right now and playing good basketball. So with the schedules that's coming up, though, there are good opponents. We are starting to click right now, as we've pointed out a couple of times. So it's very possible that we win the game necessary to make some jumps. Obviously, we still are a couple of games back from the Suns and Kings based on the losses we've had. So we'll see if they fall a little bit and give us some room to jump ahead to make that play-in tournament a little bit easier on us, as you pointed out. But 3-2 over the last 5 sounds right. We've said that a few times, and we've been way off, and we've said it at times and been wrong and been right to the nth degree, as they had a couple runs earlier this season too. So we'll see how it plays out, hoping for the best. And you guys will continue to see our reaction to it all as this thing plays out. So those are the main things I wanted to get to. Any other Laker comment you wanted to make real quick?
I think that was it. You had one more note. It wasn't specifically Lakers related, though, just about conference list playoffs.
Oh, sure. We'll jump into that real quick as well. As you see here, the Western Conference, as we've seen in the league just a few times, notably in recent years, sometimes conferences get very stacked, and we'll have teams that, as you see here in the Western Conference, are at the bottom at 44-33, but are way above 500 playing great basketball. Then you flip to the East side, and it's not exactly the same thing. a lot of teams are that if they switch conferences would not even be in consideration for the playoffs if they moved around. So with that being the case, you think we're getting to a point finally where the NBA should move to a conference list playoff, or that it continues to stay as it is?
I think it's been like this a lot over the course of years. It does, because I feel like a lot of times it does favor the West. Like the West tends to be stronger. Not quite as much of a bloodbath as it is this year, but we've seen years like that in the past. I think people have brought up kind of like the 2010 years where the West was just like this. We had teams damn near winning 50 games and still in like the 8th seed, and then the East with a little bit of a weaker conference. So I don't think that it necessarily changes just because we've seen this in years past. It would be dope to see, though, like if we had a conference list playoffs and it was just the top 16 teams made it. And I mean, you could still have a play-in tournament as well, but maybe that's conference list as well, just those next 4 teams kind of battling it out. Or those last 8 teams, I guess, battling for the last 4 spots. But yeah, I think it's probably going to remain the same. Like I haven't really heard many rumblings about league having interest in moving to.
Right, it's always a fan thing that comes up, and they'll post the standings. Like, imagine if this was the top 16 instead of the conferences. So it's all fan hype, and we are fans ourselves. So I threw it out there. So your take on it?
Yeah, it would be cool to see. I would probably enjoy it, but I don't think it's going there that way anytime soon.
Got it. I will say again, from the fan perspective, and someone who would like to see it, part of a way I could advocate for is just saying, I think also just the way the playoffs already are formatted as is, just in the sense of having the 2-3-2 format and how it goes back and forth. I believe that is right, or it's 2-2-1-1-1.
2-2-1-1-1.
Yeah, for the playoffs. Having it when you're moving just between cities and you're playing 2 games in a city before you move back and forth, that alleviates some of the travel issues that may have been a cause for concern. Also, I just don't think we should reward bad basketball. And there are teams that clearly are trying to tank and all that kind of stuff anyways. And we have teams that are getting pushed to the side solely because of location. I don't think that should have the factor. That should be a factor as much as it is right now. So, yeah, we'd love to see it at some point. Not going to see anytime soon based on the NBA's reaction to the conversations, but from the fan side, we can hope for it, and hopefully one day it comes to life. So be it. But for now, again, a lot of high hopes for what already is set up as we have it, and again, hope for the Lakers to make a good push this postseason. So we'll be back next week for it all. For those watching on YouTube, again, we mentioned follow us on LA Sports Report. A lot of great stuff going on over there as always. appreciate all of the love. Subscribe to the show and all of that, and we'll be sure to show love back to you guys. So good stuff on that regard.